Crap, it's like 9 or 10 in the morning and you guys are actually sober and at my talk. What the hell? There we go. Yeah, not a single one of you are sober. That's perfect. So, for those of you new here, and those of you not sure what's about to go happen, we're doing a entertaining panel on stories of DerbyCon. We have the lovely and talented info sister here who runs the Mental Health Village. We have Blenster who makes these beautiful black badges for us all. We have Renderman, the Pope of the Church of Wi-Fi. And we have Integral who does Python ninjery and also general shenanigans. We have our new cast member up here, the unicorn that we got inflated from the Hyatt. Thank you, Hyatt. And, of course, myself, Evil Mog. You all know who I am. Exactly, right? So before we kick this off, I want to remind everyone of the Derby Mud Challenge at derbymud.mog.ninja. We're giving away a GerCon VIP badge and a DerbyCon paddle that we smack everyone with every year. So the CTF's up there, ctf.mog.ninja. Go have fun. I've been tweeting cheat codes all week. And with that, we're about ready to go kick off this magical little panel. So I figure we'll start off with one story, then I'll pass it off to Renderman here because he's funny. We'll pass it down the table and back, and we'll keep doing this. I'll pick one. I don't care. Do you want a mic? Remember, flip it. There we go. 4. So the first story I'm going to tell is about Ms. Bat's first time at DerbyCon. So her first time at DerbyCon, she had no idea who anybody was, and she's the nice, quiet little mouse type that won't come up and inject herself into conversation. So she was wandering around kind of idly here, and Dave notices her, and he's like, "Yo, what's up? How's it going? You enjoying DerbyCon?" Winds up taking her down to the vendor village, buys her some lockpicks, and teaches her how to lockpick. And she says at the end of this, like, "Hey, don't you have something important to do, like, I don't know, running a conference?" He's like, "No.
That's what I got minions for."
Yeah, exactly. He says, "This is what DerbyCon is. This is what it's all about. And if I make one person's day, that's all that freaking matters." And that, to me, has always been DerbyCon, and that's what we've strived to go for.
Fine. So it's appropriate that Mog had me up here for this because I had the opportunity to pull one of the first pranks that actually happened at DerbyCon. Yes, Dave, it involves you pretty heavily. So the very first year, I showed up here with a stack of about 100 of these tickets that I'd printed out that were man hug tickets that were designed to look exactly like the golden tickets from Willy Wonka. I showed up early, and I was here during the trainings, but what I wanted to have these all handed out and have Dave actually interact with them and have people hand them to him and get hugs, because that's kind of what DerbyCon was all about at the time, and that was the largest thing was, hey, hug Dave. That's part of why you're here. As I hand these out, though, I'm not handing them out to people individually because I didn't really want it to be tracked back to me that it was me doing it. So I would hand them out to people that I knew in about stacks of 5 or 10 and have them hand them out to other people as well. So Dave wouldn't know. I hear about it, later on at the conference. It's probably halfway through Saturday at this point. I'm over at the food court that's across the way on 4th Street Live, and I overhear Aaron talking about how Dave has been just getting all of these people walking up to him, handing him these tickets and giving him hugs and just talking about it. And she's like, I had this gigantic stack of all of these tickets sitting inside of my room. And so I kind of sidle up there and I'm like, so I'm the one that did the ticket thing. Can you hand those back to me so I can hand them out again? The story of that actually doesn't end there, unfortunately, or somewhat unfortunately. Yeah. But turns out that some of the jockeys, the security staff, had grabbed some of them and picked up a copier inside of the Hyatt and made a bunch of counterfeit manhug tickets and were like throwing them off the stage come Saturday evening. Yeah, exactly, making it rain manhugs. Poor Dave. There's no way he didn't get sick after that. But the worst part about that to me is because I really wanted this just float and have nobody know who did this. But Jason Street ended up actually like doxing me on Sunday morning when Dave jumped up and was like, who the hell's done this thing? But that was the first prank there that really happened here.
Which DerbyCon was that?
That was Derby 1.
DerbyCon, the gift that keeps on giving.
That's fantastic. Oh, what David said is they were actually showing up at DEF CON that year as well. So, they'd made it a whole nother, 9 months, 10 months, something like that at that time?
I'm going to roll up to DEF CON next year with a whole bunch of those things. Just hand them out, Dave. One with every badge. Dude, one with every badge? Yeah.
I'll go. All right. I am the Blunster, and just as full disclosure, I am not feeling well this morning. But you all are worth it, and I got here. I don't know what happened. I stood up and went, oh, I'm not standing up anymore. DerbyCon has been incredibly transformative to my life. I did web development and came here because it was I live here in Louisville, so this was a security conference, and I'm like, hey, I remember doing stuff like that when I was young, before I turned 18, and prison seemed like a bad idea. And so I came here, and the Level 1 Hackerspace where I volunteer was hosting the after party where I cooked dinner, and I got to meet a bunch of people, and I got to learn that this was a career that I could move towards. And so I got out of web development and been moving more into InfoSec stuff. It's where I started teaching soldering and began having that impact on people's lives. It's where I met so many incredible people, and I basically, I don't know how to put this in words. I started out sitting in the audience going, wow, all those people up there are so cool. I wish I could be like them. And the people here were like, well, then come do stuff with us, and you can be up here with us. And
just show up with a giant unicorn.
Yeah.
They'll let you on stage.
That'll be my first story. I have a couple more.
So we're just doing first DerbyCons, right? My first DerbyCon was DerbyCon 3. I got a ticket from Dave. He had come and done a pen test where I had worked. Didn't even know InfoSec conferences were a thing, or InfoSec in general was a thing. I was just doing sysadmin stuff. And came down here to my first Derby. Actually had met Evilmog, but didn't know it was him. We had been talking, he's my first internet friend that I met in real life. We were on IRC. I had picked the handle InfoSister because I was told that if you were a girl on IRC, you wouldn't do so well. So, when you read it, unless you said it out loud, you didn't actually know. So I was here, and, my first CTF ever was doing the Derby Cake CTF with Mubix. And, I have met, like Ben said, so many people at DerbyCon. I met my O'Reilly editor. I met, future bosses and people that I've worked with. And, that was at this point, almost 6 years ago now, right? And now I've been up on stage almost every,
Has it been that long?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Man, we're old.
I've done, yeah. So I use this point in time to look back and see what I've actually accomplished over those 6 years and every year since then, and it's just kind of skyrocketed, and this kind of started me off. And I really hope somebody has tissues, because at some point I feel like we're all going to end up crying up here.
We're all going to cry by the end of this, you know that.
You just have to
I need a hug and an adult.
You just need to put man in the middle of this. Or you can just leave it as is.
Integral brought it up. The shenanigans have been a big thing for DerbyCon for us for a number of years. The Church of Wi-Fi just kind of became the unofficial, official masters of shenanigans. All really started with being over the Hyatts, because they've got that 18-story atrium there that just begs for paper airplanes or something like that.
6 dozen plastic army men.
Yeah, so there was one year we got 6 dozen of those little plastic army paratrooper guys that you get from a dollar store or whatever. Amazon order, expense them.
Oh yeah, special thanks to Chris for approving the expenses.
grabbed a bunch of random people and went up to the 18th floor and, let these things go. And it was a case of we informed Dave and security that we were doing this. We weren't asking permission. We were just saying, when shit hits the fan, blame us. But the best part of that I heard was some of the security people on the radio when these things, because nobody ever looks up there, they started coming down, and people looking up, and they're like, "Oh, cool, yeah," clapping, everything. And apparently, what over the radio was, "It's raining men." I repeat, it's raining men. But the thing is, we ran down to clean up because it's one of our rules is we clean up after ourselves.
What command is that?
They were already gone. Like everybody just absconded with these things. Not that we said that you could, but it's like you did our cleaning for us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The rule is you have to clean up. It's like Commandment 6 of shenanigans or 5 or whatever it is. Thou shalt clean up after themselves. Speaking of shenanigans, our first shenanigans ever, aside from that, would have been the time we were doing initiations outside the party the one year. So I didn't realize this till years afterwards, but one year we were setting up the Church of Wi-Fi initiations right outside the party entrance. There was a lineup around the block to figure out, to get in and join the church. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, we're getting ties from, Wisconsin with cheese hats and hand-painted cheese shot glasses. I'm like, something's going down. Apparently people thought it was mandatory to get into the party to join the church.
So those of you who are unaware, basically there's me and Pope Robes. He's dressed as a bishop. We had a slutty nun with a cat of nine tails. We had altar boy in little sequin, booty shorts. And you
get down on one knee, receive this, the blood of our Lord, who like the rest of us is 80 proof. And it's usually the worst bourbon we can find at CVS. 20%
the biggest,
ethanol.
Cheapest, plasticest bottle we could find. The body of our Lord, who is Cool Ranch flavored.
Cool Ranch Doritos.
Right. Arise and receive your whipping from the nun. Who's it? Stacy. Stacy was the nun.
Sadly, she's retired from InfoSec, so I'm the cheap replacement.
Yeah, but she does triathlons and Ironmans, so she's built, and she destroyed the cat of nine tails we bought her at the shop down the road in 5 minutes, and we borrowed somebody's belt. And the best part was that atrium over at the Hyatt, the echo, you hear crack. That's all you heard all night. Crack usually by a scream of pain, but it was one of those the acoustics in here are great.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we got the paddle, because my arm isn't as strong as hers. So I went to a custom paddle manufacturer and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be spanking 400-pound hackers. I need this thing not to break on them. So they made me a custom 24-inch long, 6-inch wide, 1-inch thick solid maple paddle. And this paddle is going to be the prize for Derby Mud. It's signed by everybody that's been smacked by it this year. So if you want to join, you get a sticker, you get smacked, but you have to give consent before you get smacked by it, and I wind up, I apologize. Let's go with favorite moment at DerbyCon. Let's start with Integral.
Favorite what?
Favorite moment?
Oh, God.
That you remember. I mean, there's a lot of others, but...
So that's a real problem, actually, because I don't remember a lot of DerbyCons.
Remember you weren't there?
Yeah. I'm going to have to pass for right this second.
Oh.
I mean, I'll come back to me, please. No, you're going to have to give me a second. That's completely
in that case,
me.
Amanda, you're up.
Shit, I don't remember. I'm not ready
See,
either.
I'm not the only one here.
I think we need more specific,
All right, fine. While you guys are thinking
favorite
of this,
heartfelt moment at Derby.
favorite heartfelt moment. The thing that made you realize you're with family.
Trevor.
Favorite heartfelt moment.
Trevor was what did it for me.
Okay, Trevor.
Oh, you're gonna go? Okay.
Render, you're
Go
up.
for it.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to stomp on you there.
You want to all talk about Trevor?
No, it's all right.
Okay. So, who here is familiar with Trevor? The whole Trevor forget? Okay. Really short version. Grifter got a milkshake at the Smash Burger across the street from the Hyatt. There was a cockroach in it. He spit this thing out, took a picture of it, tweeted out, told management and everything like that. They like shut down the restaurant to get somebody in to deal with this. Corporate did good by them. But it's like Sunday, we're kind of bored because con's over. The tweet was something like, "Hey, just so you know, there was a cockroach in my milkshake. I've named him Trevor." And Grifter and a few others go to like the CVS, get some like the little LED candles and like some other just random crap, and set up like this little memorial. Well, people started adding to it.
And the problem is the thing got torn down rather rapidly. So we waited till they closed after they were getting fumigated.
Yeah, so they closed. We put it back. And it got bigger and bigger. There's Eddie doing custom art for this thing. There's.
I'm pretty sure Dave was involved in some of these videos along with some of his friends. Allegedly. Allegedly, Dave might have been involved.
But people are tweeting this and stuff, and we're sitting around in the lobby of the Hyatt and tweeting at Smashburger and stuff because we're lamenting Trevor and his many thousands of relatives that are about to be exterminated, and like just we're bored hackers. It's what we do. We troll. But Smashburger corporate, whoever's running their Twitter account,
they didn't go back to marketing.
They fucked up because somebody was I think it was C4I or whatever, was tweeting at like local media like, "Hey, here's this thing going on," and everything. And Smashburger corporate Twitter account says, "Please stop." Game on.
No, that was probably
we got
the best
trending
part.
on the front page of Twitter.
Yeah.
Trevor Forget was trending.
Honestly, that would have been my response.
Well, it was funny because they were kind of interacting with us for a little while, and then they finally just like shut down after a while. And they're like, "Please stop." And then, like you said, that's when everybody really got on and started going crazy.
I mean, there was some medical incident or something on 4th Street Live just around the corner, and so there was ambulance and fire department and police showing up. So there's pictures of like, it's too late, you can't save him, But the best part was the cops.
Yes.
The cops who were dealing with that incident, they left. They came back just out of sheer curiosity of what the hell is going on here. There's people out here in front of this like makeshift memorial pouring out 40s. For a roach. And they're like, this is not what we're used to dealing with out here. Like, you people are actually like, cool.
Wasn't there singing, too, at some point, right? There was singing.
I sainted Trevor the Roach in full robes while we were there.
Yeah. No, but the police actually showed up and kind of participated as well. They didn't just like show up and see what was going on. They hung out and they legitimately were chilling with us, watching this roach celebration.
And they told the supervisors of the next shift that was coming on, so they came on, paid their respects.
Yeah.
So every time a cop would come through, they'd all come out and pay their respects to Trevor.
On.
And every couple of minutes, all you hear is, "Trevor!" And even the homeless were joining in.
But, I mean, and for me, this is kind of the family thing, because everybody, it was like very innocent, like nobody was being hurt. Well, maybe Smashburger, but
only their brand.
But we were having so much fun. Everybody was just banding together. It was like smart people doing dumb things. Like it's great. But I still think the crowning, like the cherry on top of that whole thing was you, Dave. This bugger, a couple of weeks later, is getting interviewed on CNN. Yes. Right? About, like, what, APT group or whatever that week. But he slips in, they ask him a question. He's like, "Yeah, so I was talking with my late friend Trevor over a milkshake the other week." And continues on. He doesn't break. And it's like, dude, he did. He did. Holy shit. And it's like an inside joke for like a few thousand people on CNN. Like, dude, that was brilliant.
That's one of the best DerbyCon dog whistles of all time.
And the best part about this whole thing was Trevor had a college fund. His college fund for his kids got donated to whatever hurricane victims did in Puerto Rico. And that went to go actually genuinely helping people's lives. So our little prank had a positive impact on everyone's world.
It was something like $3,500 on a GoFundMe. Like,
it was way more than that. It wound up hitting like $100,000 by the end of it.
I feel like a lot of our pranks have positive index.
I mean, I don't intend them that way, but it just kind of works out.
You guys really like giving money to really weird things.
I mean, the kind of stupid things we pull off, everything from tricycle races to parachutes to spanking people with paddles to cockroaches. I mean, I'm not sure that's what Dave meant when go out and participate, but we're rolling with it.
See what you
Okay, I've got my moment now. Yes. So back at the Hyatt, and I don't know if this is still continued or will continue, chess was something that became a pretty big thing because of Egypt. And he just started bringing chess boards and playing chess with everyone till late in the morning. How many people here have actually played against Egypt in chess?
I think it lasted about 2 minutes.
Okay. How many have actually beat Egypt? Awesome. So, one of the years he came down here, he brought all the chess stuff. He'd also brought his family along with him. And I was sitting there playing chess and chatting with his family and everything. And I'm watching him and his son play, and they're doing pretty well. And then there comes a certain point where I actually get a chance to play Egypt. First time I played chess against him. And I don't play chess very often. So I think that led to what eventually ended up happening, where I end up beating Egypt in chess. Yeah, exactly. As far as I know right now, I'm still the only person that has at Derby.
How drunk was he?
Thank you. He gets better. Right.
Yeah. I think it was about 2:30 in the morning, so I don't...
He had sobered up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we'd ever stop drinking, but still. But my general strategy with chess is to actually play for a stalemate, and it ended up to where that failed. So I don't know. But anyways, the fun part about that is that I beat Egypt, and then I decide to play against his son, who just creams the ever-living crap out of me, because he's one of the best chess players I've ever seen.
So, another side story related to chess. One of my first years, there was a security guy at the Hyatt that just had no sense of humor. Bob? If his name wasn't Bob, we'll just call him Bob. Bob didn't like us, but he couldn't, kick us out or anything like that. I mean, he's used to dealing with, drunken idiots that, get into fights. Well, we're outside, in the lobby, outside Sway, outside the bar. These two guys are arguing loudly about something, right? And he's kind of sidling up. Okay, yeah, there's gonna be a thing. Yeah, and these two guys are like, no, that's what you think? That's what you think? Let's settle this. And they go over and they start playing chess. Dude's like, I thought they were going to beat the crap out of each other, and then they sit down and play chess. Like, what kind of people are you?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the year we got kicked into. This is the first time ever being kicked into a bar. The Hyatt, the atrium,
Echo.
loud, the
Yeah.
echo, and everything was past midnight, and they're like, "Hey, you're kind of loud. Can you move over?" The bar was already closed. They're like, "Wait, you're kicking us into the bar?" And this is where I love hackers, because we do some dumb things. We have way too much fun, but we are generally, and Dave and your insurance company might object to this, that we are generally responsible. We had, our own drinks and everything like that. We're going behind the bar. We're grabbing glasses and everything. We're serving ourselves, from our liquor, not theirs. But when we left, we washed everything and left it all, with a note saying, "Hey, we use this. It's been washed. It's all good." Like, everybody was cleaned up after themselves. It was great.
I've got a story. So apparently, Einstein Bagel Brothers forgot to lock their door one year, allegedly. And so, as hackers, apparently people were nice enough to go lockpick the door so it got closed and locked again, and told Einstein the next morning, "Hey, you forgot to lock your door." We tweeted that stuff out, and they're like, normally a lockpick to break into a place, not to secure it when someone forgets to do something.
Well, that was the other fun thing about, I don't know if you know this, we tend to drink a lot at DerbyCon. In fact, I know, it's very surprising. In fact, they had a really hard time the first few years that we were here keeping enough liquor here.
We drained every hotel bar within a 3-block radius DerbyCon 1.
Yeah. It was something else. But the funny thing about it was the police that actually show up here after hearing about how much that we actually did drink and everything, they walk in expecting it to be just like a bar fight constantly. And then they walk in and see that there's these people sitting here at 2 a.m. Yeah, drinking and chess is breaking out, and people are just kind of sitting over there on their computers hacking something. And
I've seen cops come after their shift to come here, and deviants sitting there teaching them how to pick and shim their handcuffs. Like literally, they're pulling their handcuffs out, and he's showing them how to bypass. Like,
So I forgot to tell my story about when I met Dave Kennedy the first time. So I did not know who he was. Obviously, being brand new to the scene. This is DerbyCon 1. This is at the level 1 after party. It's late. All the food's gone, so I'm actually mingling with people. Someone gave me my first set of lockpicks there. Thank you, whoever that was. And I see this guy, and he's showing off the black badge for the conference. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, yeah, we had, blah, blah, blah. He's talking about it. And I'm like, I could make one of those on our laser cutter in about 10 minutes. And he turns to me and says, please don't. And I promised him I would never make a fake black badge. But I did eventually get to make real black badges for him. So thank you very much, Dave.
So I think it was my second DerbyCon 4 where I didn't realize this was a thing. So I'd only been, doing industry stuff for a year. And I heard people were breaking into the elevator. And I'm like, I don't even know how the doors open. I don't know. They open for you when you push the button. What else is there, right? Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So I end up following a group of people that were doing this and showing people how to hack elevators, making it to the roof of the Hyatt where you're not supposed to be.
Allegedly.
It's up by the
so I
pool.
heard. And I will, not sure whose it is, but later on, definitely wasn't mine based on size and stuff. But there was a bra hanging through a grate. If you looked all the way up in the atrium of the Hyatt off of a string, and it stayed there for, I think, the entire 3 days.
The thing is, people thought it was me, and because I do the aerial stuff, and
they thought it was you because you were wearing a bra earlier.
I mean, I was wearing a bra later, but that wasn't my size.
Okay. And I think 2 more years after that it happened. But yeah, it was another DerbyCon tradition, is just sneaking up and finding the grate and throwing a bra down on a string.
I mean, we do lots of things to that other venue. Everything from the rubber chickens that were all over everywhere. They were finding those things for 9 months. 9 months.
Can we give it up for Rance?
Yeah, give it up for Rance.
I miss that man.
That man pulled off so many freaking pranks. He pulled the rubber chickens. He brought the clown noses. That man is the patron saint of
He is the
rubber
patron saint of
chickens.
Cox.
Yeah, patron saint of Cox and the Church of Wi-Fi for that very reason. We've only sainted very few people. Trevor's one of them. Barnaby Jack, Rance, Tuna, and
Grumpy Cat.
And we've also sainted Yola Bear after we lost and we got resurrected.
Yeah, but Rance would hand out these sticky rubber chickens. You put it on the end of your finger and it go shooting, and it would stick to the wall. Well, people were sticking these things to the ceiling in the lobby of the Hyatt. My favorite picture of Rance is not actually of Rance. It's of the Hyatt guy with the broom trying to get these things down. So he died January 2016. Last year, Banshee was standing just inside the doors of the Hyatt, and this thing falls. Is this dusty, grody, dried out chicken.
From 4 years ago.
Just decided to fall down next to her. It was...
They are still finding chickens to this day, especially up on the roof, most of the service areas. We've been having this place cased over for ages. And for those of you knowing, now that we're leaving this place, they can't sue us. They use an H2395 key in the elevators. That one? You mean this one? Yeah. Allegedly.
But that hotel was so cool about us doing everything. They were fantastic.
So I have one story about the hotel not being cool, then becoming cool, and they realized it was me. So the same security guy was kind of
most of your life's gone so far.
So this one security guy was a little bit cranky about the parachuting, because one year we parachuted the giant Moogle, and he's like, if anything else goes over top of that, I don't care who parachutes it, you're the one leaving. I'm like, dude, I've already submitted all the paperwork. I've done like 3 days of math. We had Chris verify it there while he was sitting around. Like, we spent literally 2 days figuring out the velocity of a monkey in a vacuum.
Yeah, like when you go to the hotel staff, it's like, do you have a scale in the kitchen? Yes. Can you weigh my monkey? Why?
I went to the hotel and
we're trying to figure out the terminal velocity of a spherical monkey in a vacuum.
Oh yeah, so we show up with all this engineering math to the hotel manager. She's like, yeah, go for it. We love this. Tell us what it is so we can watch.
Yeah, like literally the front desk staff is like, we can't see from here, so like tell us because we want to come out and see this.
So if you go on YouTube, search for DerbyCon parachute, you'll find all our exploits on video.
The one thing they would never allow us to do, though, is drones.
I mean, we tried last
drones.
year. They couldn't get a lock on the internal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't drone inside. Also, if you're going to do it, make sure you use actual properly rated stuff like rocketry-grade parachutes and, make sure it doesn't weigh more than a couple ounces.
Like literally, we did the math to figure out if Murdoch here broke loose and hit somebody from 18 floors, there wasn't enough.
Yeah, it turns out the plush level is about 1.5 pounds maximum plushiness, and it's got to be at least 3 feet tall for that to work, so that's roughly the safety math.
Yeah.
What? I've actually spent the engineering time to do this.
I'm not surprised.
Hey, if you want to do a shenanigan properly, watch my talk from DerbyCon 6 or 7, How to Conduct Shenanigans Safely. We released the tooling and everything.
Yeah.
To be fair, as security professionals, if we're good at one thing, it is managing risk. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of environments.
I like risk. I like watching it go flying by.
Saddest DerbyCon moment, or what do you want to go with next?
Oh, saddest DerbyCon moment actually is Rance involved. Just one of the moments I was sitting outside of the Hyatt, middle of the night, probably like 4 a.m., and Rance strolls up with a gigantic bottle of milk, and he's also got vodka, ice, and some, Kahlua, and he's just walking around making White Russians for everybody. And there was something that was happening in that particular conversation at the time that I was already, like, emotionally compromised, essentially. But Rance walking up there and, like, plopping that down and starting to pour me that drink, I absolutely lost it and started bawling because it was too much, Yeah.
Like really just sad?
I mean,
I've cried at least the last two.
Who doesn't cry at DerbyCon?
yeah, closing is always a really tough moment, especially right after closing.
Closings are really hard.
The bar bill's okay.
Renderman, are you going to talk about yours? I don't want to steal your. Because I mean, yours was one of my top tearjerkers.
If y'all got tissues, you might want to break them out. DerbyCon 3, was my first one. Dave reached out to me and said, hey, you know about DerbyCon? I'm like, yeah, I've heard the name, Louisville and everything. He's like, yeah, you should come out. We've got anything to talk about? And like, well, I've got this thing I've done at a couple other conferences. I can dust off those slides and give that talk, but, I was vastly underemployed, up to my eyeballs in bills and such. Just not in a good place mentally either, very depressed. And I'm like, sorry, I'd love to come, but can't afford it. He's like, don't worry, we got sponsor money. I'll fly you out. I'll fly you out, get you the hotel room, you come and speak. I'm like, okay, sure, free trip. Like, of course, I'll do that, Pilgrim and a few others basically decided as well. They kind of looked at me and like, dude, you look like shit. You need family. Like, all your meals and drinks are on us. Playing Hackers Against Humanity in the lobby Noise ended up making a thing because we played a card said, NIST has decided this is what is replacing AES. And she says, I will give $100 if anybody plays plain text. I had a card, Double Rot 13. I played it. She pulls $100 out of her. I think I walked away from that con making a profit, actually. But
yeah, Church of Wi-Fi. I mean, profit.
We haven't tax exempt yet.
But it's what I needed at the time. I was severely depressed, probably vaguely suicidal. It was so refreshing to be around family and people who understood that I didn't have to say anything, and they got it. They saw the pain. Amanda, the work you're doing in the Mental Health Village is amazing. Keep it up. But and I'm not sure how much, Dave, you knew I was hurting at that time. But I find out later that I don't think that was sponsor money. I think that was yours. I think he paid for that whole thing out of his own pocket to get me down there.
It's family, man.
DerbyCon, 4 the next year was in a much better place. Closing ceremonies, there's video. I ran up during closing and Kanye'd the microphone.
You're good at that.
Kanye, though.
And I said it then, and I'll say it again. Dave, you saved my life. Thank you. I don't know where the idea of Hacker Family came from, but it's this thing that the rest of the world kind of hates us. We need to take care of ourselves, because if we don't, no one else will. You are some of the drunkest, lascivious, foul-mouthed,
hooligans,
psychotic bunch of freaks. But you're family. You are the family I choose. And I have Eddie the Eddie's Hacker Family crest tattooed on my chest over some self-harm scars I have that I was not proud of. As a reminder that, things like Dave doing these nice things, this nice thing for me that saved my life. So, yeah.
Hey, dude, meeting you has been like one of the most mentally beneficial things in my existence.
I think you mean traumatizing.
No, I mean beneficial. I mean, somehow I tried to manage this guy for a number of years. And I used to do his performance reviews in full drag down at the bar on Saturday nights. I mean, he got usually an A after we had a couple of beers and we were good to go.
It's... I go to a lot of cons, but we still talk about rants, with reference. That there's... I'm going to miss Derby, because this had a vibe of family.
Well, it still does have a vibe.
I said it.
Don't talk about it like it's dead yet, because it's not.
It's not resting.
It lives on in our hearts.
Wait till it's off the slab, damn it.
Your livers.
Let me see this. Well, it's kind of similar to something that I told Mog shortly after he'd gotten his black badge for Derby here, is that, and Derby's very similar to this, is like, just because you have a black badge to Derby or to whatever conference you happen to be at, that doesn't mean that like the work that you were doing to actually get that badge or to get the thing that got you to that point is over. Like, you still keep going and you carry it with you and you keep doing what you were doing. And everybody should do that with DerbyCon as well. That's part of the reason that all these people are here. And we have all these people here that are new this year that have never come to this conference before, even though they know that this is the last year that it's going to happen. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, and here's the thing. I have a saying I've been telling everybody. If you hang with me at one DerbyCon, we're family for life. And I've got, like, Little Lost up front there. She's hung with me enough times that she knows, we're family. Like, look out here. I see all my friends. It's like, this isn't a panel. This is a gathering of friends, and it's just blowing me away. I'm going to cry here.
Half of you are the reason I'd probably be in jail. The other half I know would bail me out.
Remember, you're all unindicted accomplices.
A stranger is just an asshole you've not met yet.
So, So I wanted to give a shout out to Rance's father, who's here. I met him for the first time at one of the parties where he was spinning, and again, that's what is so amazing about this community. There are so many people. You have no idea who they are. They have no idea who you are, but they take you seriously and talk to you, and it was an amazing connection. So I wanted to from all of us, we really appreciate and thank you.
And
So, one really quick rant story. This was actually at DEF CON, but when he found out he had cancer, he was driving around on one of those little scooters because, couldn't walk.
Those scooters are fun.
Couldn't walk far because pain and everything. And this was, I think, a year or two after I Kanye'd the mic and everything like that. Ran into him at DEF CON, and dude knew he was dying, but he asked me how I was doing. And got up out of that damn rascal to give me a hug. Knowing that it hurt him. Be like Rance. Fuck cancer.
And so it was.
Speaking of Kanyeing.
Oh, great.
No, I just wanted to explain what it's like on the opposite end of dealing with these folks and their shenanigans, right? Because as we're running a conference,
please just give us the bill and we'll figure this out.
The things that we hear over our radios as these things are going on, like, hey, at 6 o'clock in the morning, hey, there's a bra hanging from the ceiling of the Hyatt. Does anybody know how to get it down? And who do we even contact for that? Those types of things that we hear over the radio are just hilarious and fun. Yeah, it's a 15-story drop. Like, there's no easy way of getting it. I don't know. And we're seeing, and we're trying to figure out the math. Like, how did they get up there? Like, did they have to climb on the side? Or they got, risking life? What was happening? And so we're all confused. And then, Will from the High comes over. He's like, is that a bra on the ceiling? He's like, how does that even get up? He's like, I don't even know. You guys are crazy. And so, it's always been fun on the other side of it as well, because, you hear, hey, they're spanking people too hard outside the lobby, and people think to get inside you have to get spanked. Like, no, make sure it's clear. They need to go somewhere else down the road on the side, not to be here. So we've had fun on the shenanigans side and on the back side too. So, I love you, Rance.
I mean, what other con can you show up with a 6.5 foot tall unicorn, go to the hotel front desk and say, do you have a compressor we can borrow? And they're like, we'll get one of the building engineers.
I was wondering if somebody did that by hand, because that would be super impressive.
We got to thank Kelly for that, actually. So what happened is Render's like, I brought this 6.5 foot tall unicorn.
Well, Circuit Swan is actually the one who brought it.
Well, there we go. So Circuit Swan brings this thing. And Render's like, who do we know that can get this thing filled up? I'm like, let's just call Kelly the bartender, right? I mean, he's been there for 9 years. We made him a lot of money over the years, so let's go talk to building engineering and get him all hooked up. So he talks to building engineering. They're like, yeah, we got a compressor. What day do you want it? I'm like, you're not even there. They're still hooking us up with all sorts of random shenanigan supplies.
I mean, the dude, who knows, Kelly the bartender over at Sway?
Speaking of, shout out, happy hours from 4 to 7, $5 drinks, and then after 10 o'clock, $5 drinks, any draft, including bourbon barrel ale.
Yeah, the bourbon barrel ale is great. I mean, that man has killed more brain cells in this room. But, dude, on Wednesday, it was his day off. And he came by to hang out with us anyways. Guy has no connection to InfoSec, but still thinks we're cool.
He was at the party last year, too. It was fantastic.
Do you know how many drunken karaoke's we've done with him at 3rd Street Dive?
Oh, yeah. All right, you ready for my tearjerker one? All right, so because of Renderman, opening up and doing the whole Kanye thing, it got me to start thinking about my own shit that I had been, bottling up for years. And then that eventually led to me talking about it and on stage, and eventually then the Village. And last year, I thought it was just going to be a one-time thing, right? So we did the fundraiser and ended up with what we have now. And nonprofit, full board. We have a list too, if you want to stop by, of everything that we've actually been able to accomplish this last year, which blew my mind. But I've cried so much that last year, like there were almost every single talk, it was just a whole room of people just sitting there just bawling, just super heartfelt stories of a lot of struggles that people have dealt with and how they dealt with it, and just this huge peer support. So I told you I was going to cry on stage again. And my friend was sitting next to me. It was the first DerbyCon he went to. And he's like, only you could get an entire room full of guys to just bawl. So yeah, it was just so, seemed to be super helpful for everybody in the room to just realize that they weren't alone. And everybody then just started opening up, and it was like a full talk going on, but then it started to be just this conversation of like, oh yeah, like I think about suicide all the time. And everybody's just like, I'm super glad like I brought tissues to the room specifically for that. But yeah, that was, I think, probably my biggest tearjerker moment was all of last year.
Of all of the villages, your village is my favorite. And the reason for this is in InfoSec, we all have very stressful jobs. Like doing IR, for example, you're on call, you're always worried, you'd start twitching when your phone vibrates, even if it's just a friend to go for a drink. And I actually had my own personal mental health issue that, thankfully, because of your village, I want to be able to talk about it and changing careers because of it. I was working red team and blue team management, and I had a stress-induced panic attack managing him while managing an entire other team. And I was doing a blue coat upgrade, and I felt sudden left side chest pain. I woke up in the hospital because they thought I was having a heart attack. It turned out it was a stress-induced panic attack. And I went on medical leave, and they kept calling me out during my leave, so I had to get out and bail, change jobs. Thankfully, I did a job interview at DerbyCon while I was in drag on Saturday night with X-Force Red, and somehow I'm a diversity hire now. But
I don't think that's how that works.
According to their system, drag queens count under a diversity hire category.
Sex workers work. I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But mental health is important. Take care of yourselves. And Renderman's stories of reaching out for help and everything else, you people inspire and recharge me every single year. And I'm going to carry that forward. When I say, I've met, if you hang with me at DerbyCon 1 year, we are family for life. Don't hesitate to call me. I don't care who you are. We are all family here. We are all DerbyCon. 5 minutes, so enough time for one more story. Who wants it?
Can we make it an uplifting one, maybe? We've
Yes,
had
make
a
an
lot
uplifting
of
one. I want to hear a very
recently.
uplifting one.
Yes, please.
Oh, dude, the auctions.
Wasn't there a year that we
beat
raised
DEF CON?
$64,000?
All right, so here's the thing. Who here knows about the Hackers for Charity auction? The live auction makes more money for this conference to say 2,000 to 2,500 people than all of DEF CON.
There was 1 year we totaled it up, and it was the equivalent of every attendee gave $100. It was nuts, and it was beautiful.
Oh, and then here's the best part: the hacker freaking Santa buys all this, buys everything on the auction. Then he just throws it up for rebid. He's literally taking $1,200 and just setting it on fire because why not? No, he's donating it.
And then
same thing.
Khalil,
Unless the
winning one of
charity
the
actually
auctions.
lights money on fire, then it would be.
Yeah.
I will set $100 in fire for you for grades and then donate the rest to charity. It'll be Canadian money, so it's not worth anything anyways.
That's right. That's perfect.
But yeah, we had the 1 year where Khalil Pilgrim, he won the black badge at the auction and then just straight hands it over to Jason Street. That man, he's donated more money to this conference than you'd ever believe. Love that guy.
Ice Medic.
Ice Medics. Please tell us about Ice Medics.
So, the icing used to be an arms race at DerbyCon. People were idiots and going down to Einstein Bagel Brothers, getting hot coffee and putting the ice inside the hot coffee and getting them super freaking hot. And we figured, okay, this needs to end. So Deviant and his crew of deviants went down to Home Depot, grabbed some PVC, and built up this whole little contraption with ice at the top. So you poured your Smirnoff ice in, it filtered through the ice, came out the bottom ice cold when you turned it out. And so we had these ice medics zooming around. And it's just like, this place has turned into a shenanigan war, and I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to tell you a story about how Renderman iced Army Train, and he's going to say it.
Is Army Train in the room? No? Good. Good. So he was one of these guys getting like the hot coffee for the Ice Brothers and putting the Smirnoff in it and icing people. And I'm like, dude, that you're just being evil with this. So I decided to get him back. So it was Sunday. I'm, had the Smirnoff. I'm like, I need to get this warm. I'm wearing a kilt. So I'm sitting on this thing like a mother hen for like an hour. Walked with him up the escalator and walking with Smirnoff Ice between your legs ain't easy. And proceed to ice him. Reach like there you go. That man, he didn't blink. He popped it. He chugged that thing, and it had been sitting next to my taint for an hour. So.
Which is impressive because he's usually handing off 120 to 180 degree, ices to people. It's the ones that you have to like put down and you can't physically drink them because the can.
I wasn't shoving one of those between my legs.
Those are not the shenanigans we like. Here's the biggest thing. You gotta give people a chance to opt out, and giving someone steaming hot ice is not kosher. We're family here. Be nice to each other. Pull a prank on like something you pull on your sister because you have to meet her at Thanksgiving the next day. Don't pull something like, hey, harmful, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to be good to each other. But I think we're out of time, so we're all